Bum 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 bum. The Peter Like Show. Bum 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 bum. So about a year ago, I moved. It was a mistake, but I moved in with my girlfriend's ex-boyfriend. Long story short, I did not last there, but I think there was a bigger mistake that I made, besides the fact that I moved in with a nemesis like that. I used to be very proud of my art projects, and I kept a lot of it at his place rather than in my storage locker. I had a much smaller locker at the time, and I was really proud of it. People would come over, his friends would come over, I would show it off. I must have had a ton of bismuth art in there, plus a bunch of canvases, and later on I was designing Legos. I didn't have a whole lot of Legos, but they were very fragile to move around, right? And it created a little bit of drama because, let's face it, we didn't always get on best terms, right? We would argue, and he would want me to leave immediately. He had a heavy drinking habit. I wouldn't say he's an alcoholic. And the reason I hesitate on calling him an alcoholic is that at least he has the decency to put down the alcohol when he knows that he needs to drive later tonight or when he has anything important going on in his work, right? Most alcoholics probably couldn't care less about that. But when he was drunk, it was very difficult to even reason the most basic of things, right? For example, hey, I got a lot of fragile things here. Let's talk about a move out plan. No, you got to get out here tonight, right? And that's how a lot of conversations went down. Had I not had all of that stuff in there, it might not have played out the way it did. And I know that because the last place I lived, I didn't see eye to eye with the owner either, but I didn't have a lot of stuff in there, and I negotiated a lot of things that I did that really surprised even myself as I was negotiating it. And it makes me think about, now it's one thing to have art that I care about. It's one thing that the two of us were connected to somebody that I cared about. That's something. It's going to be quite a different story when I have my kids in the apartment someday. And I was thinking about that. And I came to the conclusion that maybe I don't want to have children until I have my own place. Because my heart really goes out to people who were in my boat, but instead of bismuth, instead of Legos, instead of canvases, they had living artwork. Either of the humankind, or even a cat or a dog, or I'm dating somebody who has a snake right now. Even that, right? And my heart really goes out to those people. I wouldn't know how I would have handled that with the same situation, but with a living art piece. I don't know. My heart really goes out to people like that after my experience, especially after this past month when I got to experience basically the same thing, but without my stuff being in there, and the whole the power dynamics were just completely different. Right? Obviously, I didn't move in with a girlfriend's ex-boyfriend, but I did move in with somebody who was a little bit off kilter. Right? A lot of people who inherit a house from their parents are a little bit like that. Right? But I probably want to move in. I probably want to have my own place before especially have my own place in a country that isn't so individualistic. Right? Maybe Taiwan or Vietnam. Right? Because let's face it, you could still run into drama with your neighbors here in the United States, right? You could run into drama with your HOA. You could run into drama. Imagine you had a disabled child, and you gotta arrange the house in a certain way, and then HOA gets upset that you made accommodations to set up your house in a certain way. I was reading. I love reading HOA drama stories. There was this one person who got assessed because the HOA wanted them to keep their garage door like 1 or 2 feet open so they could see that nobody's living in there. That would be a problem for me. I have chemical allergies, and if my neighbors are spraying their yard for stuff, I can't leave my garage door like that. I wonder what the HOA would say if I rebutted with something like that. I really wonder. And I'd feel a lot more comfortable if I didn't have kids in that house. Hey, Mr. HOA person, this is what I'm dealing with. Why don't we make a solution? I'd feel a lot more comfortable if the stakes were lower, right? Especially if I also have resources to go somewhere else tonight. If we can't work out something, right? I'd feel a whole lot better, right? But imagine you had a disabled child and you needed to set up your place in a certain way, and then your place gets involved in eminent domain or something. I just cannot see that go down. If I'm living somewhere that gets involved in eminent domain and I have a million other places to go, I have nothing in the house, yeah, I would sit down and work it out, right? But with my kids in there and disability issues, I don't know. My heart really goes out to people like that when things are all jammed up like that, right? At the last place, did I always get along 100% with my roommate? Not at all. But I didn't have a whole lot of issues, and I just reasoned with him. He was not always easy to reason with either. But anyway, there's some thoughts that I had. My heart really goes out to people who have kids and have to deal with this. This is the Peter Like Show. Bum 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 bum.